Hello, Kaylin. Welcome to the Women Waken Podcast.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here, especially because we got to spend earlier this week together. So it's
We
like double
did.
dose.
We did. And what better way to do it than in the freaking eclipse window, the eclipse
Yeah.
gateway, the portal of this insane time. It's been a
Yeah,
wild
it's
ride,
bananas.
Kaylin. The energy was intense when we recorded. I think it was Tuesday, and now it's Friday, and we're just getting closer to that lunar
Yeah.
eclipse that's about to happen, and shit is like going off.
Yes, I feel it. And, we have the lunar eclipse and a new moon. And I think this is really significant, especially for women. I am all about an advocate for women.
Mm.
If you're men listening to this too, I love my divine kings. But
I love
women
it.
are my jam. And
Mm.
this solar eclipse is really about a reclamation of our destiny, right? Really quantum leaping into more of like our God spark, more of merging our will and God's will. And with it being on a new moon, it is like fucking supercharged in the sign of Aries, which women, this is all about your fire. So this is really about a new beginning with your power, with your fire, with your magic. And I mean, what kind of woman doesn't want to be magnetic and powerful? I mean, come on.
We all are. Girl, why didn't you mention that when I was telling you we got on the call and I was like, I am fucking going nuts over here. Like I'm feeling, well, we were talking about this interesting dynamic for the feminine, right? Which is I am truly all about the divine feminine in that returning the principles of greater compassion, caring, kindness, collaboration on this earth. We are so about the individual and we ignore the fundamental principles of life, which is based in love. That's what it ultimately is. But there's another side of love. It's not just all bright and beautiful. Some of it is like deep and sensual and sex. That's still love. That's still divine.
Yeah.
So you and I were talking about, and I feel like it relates to your podcast, which is the Shadow Priestess Embodied. So when I think of the Shadow Priestess, I think of when I, like I am today, here I am in my gray, in my like sexy, sensual, like fiery, fucking dominant sex or
Yes.
feminine energy, you know? So tell me what your thoughts about that. Cause sometimes I know like earlier in my life, I get confused. I'm like, am I a nice girl or am I like this sexy vixen? And it's like, if I'm in my sexy vixen mode, am I just trying to please men or is it really like a part of who I am? And the older I get, I realize it's a part of who I am. It's not just
Yeah.
about trying to conform, but I feel like that can be confusing for women. So what's your take on that?
Oh gosh, so I could say so much of this. So if I start going off on different tangents, pull me back.
I'll pull you back.
Because there's a
I'll reel
lot
you
to
in.
speak to. Reel me in.
Yeah.
So to me, first off, the feminine is both and, right? She
Mhm.
is the light side that is loving, compassionate, caring, who wants connection. And she's also the darkness, right? She is the mystery. She's the liminality. She's the void. You can think of the feminine like the womb of the cosmic mother, right? She holds everything. And it's so funny you talk about the nice girl, right? We were kind of just speaking about this. I really feel that when us as feminine are programmed or trying to be the nice girl or the good girl, right? Trying to be likable, we're actually really in the shadow of the feminine. Because when a feminine really comes back to her power, she doesn't give a fuck if anybody likes her, right? Like she doesn't care if she's accepted. She doesn't care if people find her like digestible or acceptable, right? Like she's in her power.
Yeah.
So it's so funny that so much of the feminine is portrayed as just like this fluffy, lovey, light and rainbows. Absolutely, like that can be the feminine, but the feminine is also death. She is destruction, right?
Mhm.
She is the pure mystery and liminality. And the beauty that happens when women really reclaim the dark femme, because that's kind of what I'm speaking to, and like where I love to play with women is really reclaiming the dark feminine, is that you really reclaim the golden shadow. Are you familiar with the golden shadow?
No, please tell me. Tell me everything.
Okay, so as we really start to work with the dark feminine, which another way to look at it is like our shadow aspects, which I also call like the golden shadow, because it sounds like dark and dreadful, but it's really where you actually have access to your greatest light. In the golden shadow, you hold your past life gifts, you hold your medicine, your most authentic essence, right? Your expression, all the parts of you growing up that you were told were too much, not enough, right? don't be like that, be more like this. And it's like all those aspects of yourself that you've essentially repressed and denied because you didn't think they were lovable. You didn't think they were likable. You didn't think they were nice, right? So do you see where I'm going with the shadow of this? And as we really begin to reclaim the dark femme, you reclaim the most authentic parts of your essence, of your sensuality, of your sexuality, of your spirituality, because it really is that, like, in the darkness, as we go into the womb, it's like we reclaim these fragmented particles of ourself, of our essence, to come into complete wholeness, right? So when I talk about the shadow priestess, and not to go on another side tangent, but really like how I got the name is that I'll go into what it means to me. I was sitting with spirit and I was at a really big pivot in my life in 2023. My dad was murdered. I lost what I thought was my dream job because they told me I was getting too big and too powerful, right? Here we go as women, like that part where, oh no, sit down, dim it down, hide your light. And it really just put me into one of the biggest voids of my life, right? On top of my daughter's one, almost two now, and navigating being a mom again with a little one. So there was so much death and rebirth. And I was at a point where I'm sure most of you are right now, where you're like, I just feel lost. Like, I don't know what to do. I started questioning everything, who I am, what am I here to do? Who am I? And I really was sitting with spirit because I consider myself a modern day priestess. And I'm sitting with spirit and I hear name of power was the first channel that came to me. And I'm like, what do you mean by that name of power? And they said, this is what you will call yourself. It is your name of power. And they gave me the name, the shadow priestess embodied. And I was like, I don't want to use that. I was actually kind of like rejecting spirit. I was like, I don't know about that. And they're like, no, this is exactly who you are. Because to me, when I'm talking about the shadow priestess, one, I'm talking about, the subtle realms, the unseen, right? Really being that bridge between the physical and the spiritual realms. To me, that is like the base of my work and my biggest practices, right? Like being that bridge. But also on top of that, the shadow to me is the unconscious, right? It's the repressed, it's the demonized, and really like guiding my clients that their greatest power is normally harbored where their shame is kept. And so much of that is in the shadow where we don't want to look, right? The parts of us that were like, no, that's not me, or I can't be that. But it's like when we actually come home to the shadow, when we come home to the dark goddess, it's like we embody our greatest divinity. So to me, like the shadow is symbolic of the mystery, of the feminine, of the womb, and what happens when we're brave enough to venture into the unknown.
Yeah, amazing. And what did you find when you ventured in there? Like, what about did you feel that you connected with parts of yourself that you didn't realize were there, or were you able to finally just embrace what already was there? And what is that for you? Because it's different and unique for each woman, right? Like, not everybody is the
Absolutely.
same type of shadow priestess.
Absolutely. Like we all have a unique blueprint. We all have a unique essence, right? We've talked about this on my episode. Like we're one of one. So when you go into your shadow, there's going to be parts of yourself. You're going to come up to hard edges and hard truths about yourself that like you had no idea were even there. But it's like the
Mm.
greatest medicine and power when you reclaim that. And I'll say for me, like I've been on this journey for quite a while. Like I think it's like 12 or 13 years. So I've been doing this deep work for a long time. But this last year was very significant. It was very different. I met myself in ways I've never met myself before. So, like
Mm.
speaking to what you said, I think for me, one of the biggest things that came online over this last year was really like my tantrika, like really teaching women around like the tantra arts, really teaching about sex magic, really like coming back to my body, my vessel, my sexuality. And I will say it's not that I wasn't aware of this. Like fully transparent with your listeners, I will say I was a very like sexual person at a very young age. I had a lot of that Shakti. I had a lot of that creative energy. I had a lot of that, which as a little girl, I'm like, I don't know what to do with this, right? Like, I didn't really know what to do with this. And,
Yeah.
we're taught from our school and our parents that sex is dirty, sex is bad, God forbid, you show your breast that you're a slut and, you
Yeah.
don't sleep with a guy because you're a whore. So it was like all these conditionings and labels that I put on that part of me that I thought, oh no, that's bad. That's wrong. I can't show that. I can't be that. And as I really dove back into my shadow this last year, I've realized that, like, in reclaiming the feminine, I can't reclaim the light or the highest expression of my feminine until I go deep into my sexuality, into my sensuality, into my body. Because if you are a woman who wants to anchor in and reclaim your feminine, if you're trying to conceptualize and do that in the mind, babe, you're not fucking there. Like, that is not it. The feminine is in the body. It's oracular enosis. It's an embodied remembrance. So if you want to awaken these feminine codes, the dormant DNA, you have to drop into the bones, into the blood, into just the soul codex that's in your body. That's the greatest wisdom. And I think that so much or so many women shy away from this because of religious like dogma or programming, right? Again, that sex is bad, it's dirty. You should only have sex once a year and it's to have a baby. And if you don't have a baby, don't, it's like all these
Yeah.
weird things, right?
Isn't that interesting that that dogma was created? I wonder why they would do that. I wonder why they'd
I'm
want
going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell you right now. So, the reason that our sexuality has been so heavily demonized and suppressed is because a woman who is deeply connected to her sexuality, to her sensuality, to her body is deeply connected to God. She is deeply connected to her ability to be a creatrix, to birth worlds, to connect with her desires, right? To literally be that pillar and that bridge that I was talking about between the seen and the unseen. Think about, you guys, your sexual energy is so powerful that it brings a soul from the ethers through your body, which is a portal way, and bursts it into the world. How could an energy that literally is the closest to God, because God is a creator, women are the closest things to God, how could that energy be dirty or demonized? And that same energy that we use to literally create life, to create birth, is the same energy that we use during sex. It's the same energy that we use to create a podcast that I'm using to speak to you now, to create art, to whatever it is, right? So the more that you connect with your senses, with your sexuality, and allow this energy to expand and move through your body, you literally reclaim your ability to be a creator. And the reason that this was so heavily demonized is because a woman who knew that couldn't be controlled or manipulated. So that's why the church teaches us that your body is dirty, sex is dirty, pleasure is wrong, when really, like, pleasure is the doorway into literally healing trauma, to literally creating life, to literally healing the body, healing the DNA, healing the nervous system, right? How could something that powerful ever be sacred or dirty? But that's why they've disconnected women so strongly from these power centers, because hello, like, look at just how life's been over the last, I'll say, even 50 years. It was only 50 years ago that a woman could open a fucking bank account without a man. Talk about being disempowered, right? So what happens is all these women wake up and they start stepping into their sovereignty. They start stepping into their power, their fire, right? They're women that can't be controlled or manipulated. And that's fucking terrifying to the toxic masculine. All right. So soapbox end.
No, keep going. I love it. I love it. We all need to hear this. Yeah. And they, if they're afraid, they, are going to want to seek shelter because that's coming. That's coming.
Yes.
But the thing though, and I'd be curious if you disagree, but what I've always felt attuned to about the feminine is that it's not power over others. It's just allowance for the power of that which is. Right
Yeah.
now, the masculine to me has decided that we need to control everybody, that we need to have power over others. And the feminine just wants to be able to rise up and allow her power to be present, because just as you said, it can birth life like an actual child, but can also birth new creations of different ways of being and existing on this plane, on this earth, which we have been
Absolutely.
deprived of. We've been completely detached from various ways that we could exist and live that are of infinite potential. But the masculine, like, no offense to anybody, but just the masculine energy that says, no, we have to, work with the structures that be and not use this deep, because again, we have a child, we pull from the fucking ethers of the universe to bring it forth. We can also do that with other creations on earth that can assist in healing, in
Yeah.
magic, because you talk about magic in your work, and magic is just being able to manifest, right? Like, bring forth. The magician, you decide what you want, you bring it into formation. You don't have to do all the loopholes that we do now. All the systems we have
Right.
in place are so convoluted to compare to the simplicity when you're tapped in to your innate magic and power. But we've shut it down so that very few people
Mhm.
can have all the control and keep us all running like
Absolutely.
cogs in a fucking machine. But it's about to end. That's why there's been this bubbling up, this uprising of the shadow priestess, the divine feminine, the true feminine, the dark feminine. All of it is coming to the surface because it's been repressed, and it's about to have a huge resurgence that's going to be powerful and shift
Yes.
everything. And we're already seeing it because the way things are such a facade, right? Like, this
Yeah.
is what life is. You're born and you go to school and you are this and that and you're labeled and you have to, fight to survive and make a living, and you have to be pushed into these boxes. The feminine says fuck boxes, right?
Mhm.
We do need some structure, but the feminine is all about flow, and they're like, let's see how expansive we can be. And then when we decide that we want to bring something into form, the masculine assists and supports the feminine into a new creation, and they work in unison. But right now the feminine is pushed out, and it's all just boxes and structures and constructs, and we're
Yeah.
prisoners to it. And we don't want to live as prisoners. At essence, we are a soul, and we're tired of living this way. All of us live as prisoners to some degree. It's
Yeah.
time for our freedom. We deserve to have that. We're able to have that experience on earth. So why not?
Yeah. Yeah, and, like, there's a few things I wanna pick out what you were
Yes, pick it
saying too
out.
is, like, when you're talking about the difference in masculine power and feminine power, it is a complete different paradigm, right? Like you were saying, the masculine is about being in power through force, through control,
Mm,
through, the doing aspect of it, right? Where the feminine's power, although it is hella powerful and sometimes she can be loud, she can be fucking silent and still just as powerful. The
mm,
feminine power is done or expressed through who she is being versus doing and the control. And it's like that power, that beauty, that inner like radiance and emanation is literally just felt by everybody. It's not that like I'm trying to control you or make you follow me or say that I'm powerful. It's like her presence demands that you respect her without her saying a fucking word. And that's the power of the embodiment that I was talking about and really getting into the body. And when you're speaking about like magic, and it rung a bell for me that another really big reason why sexuality has been so demonized, and I won't even just say sexuality, I'll just say pleasure in general, right?
mm.
Why there is such almost like a dimming of pleasure in today's society is because when we really begin to tap into our pleasure, especially like orgasms. Can I go here? Is that okay?
Fuck yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
go, go, go.
So one of my big things that I teach my women are pleasure practices, especially every single day, because there's something hella crazy that happens as you begin to reclaim your body and reclaim your pleasure. And not only, as I was saying, that it taps into your ability as a creatrix, but as you begin to connect with your pleasure and even use practices such as sex magic. I don't know why I cannot talk today. Sex magic, what really happens is that you're bringing energy from your lower chakras and you're moving it up into the higher chakras, up into the cosmos, up into the universe. And as you do this, you open up almost like a portal way or a pillar of light where not only is it deeply healing and restoring, taps into your ability as a creator, right? But also it literally awakens the dormant DNA. Like you literally open yourself up to be a direct channel of divinity. So ascension happens like that. Awakening happens like that. Literally just by you allowing yourself to be in pleasure. And I'm also a trauma and somatic practitioner. So I'm big
Mm,
on the nervous system. Okay. I'm big on the body. So I love to bridge these two together. And what spirit was really showing me is that, like, as women reclaim their bodies, as we allow ourselves to be an orgasm, a cervical orgasm or just an orgasm in general is the most restorative fucking thing for your body. What happens when you orgasm? It literally goes into the dormant DNA, it goes into the nervous system, and it starts to pop open and unseal different pockets of light, different pockets of codes. Orgasms literally reclaim your essence and return you to wholeness. No fucking shit, it's been so heavily demonized, right?
yeah.
No fucking shit, we're walking around miserable, not well fucked, not well nourished, not happy women because we're so disconnected from God, which happens through our bodies. It happens
and
through our
just as you said,
bodies.
if we want to bring it back to the dogma and the religion that literally said, and I mean, I think the word whore is even used in the Bible. I don't know, but
Yeah.
something like it, where it's I mean, any woman who has sex for any reason other than to give it, and that is it. I literally buried the truth, which is just as you're speaking to, the greatest power that exists
Yes.
is through the feminine energy of creation, through orgasm, through sex, through sexual energy. It's all energy, but the sexual energy is creational energy. It's not just orgasms. That's
Yes.
part of it, but it's bigger than that. And it really is. It's gonna be. It's having a reclamation. It's coming forth. And the more that women realize this, there is also a grieving because we've been so horrifically oppressed, but also abused for so long, and message that like you are nothing but a vessel to deposit into, to be fucked, to be used
I
for.
will I wanna speak to what you just said about there's a lot of grieving because you are so spot on with this. I will tell you, like I said, I've always been very connected to my sexual energy. I've always been very connected to my divinity, even at a young age. However, I like to call it like your muse as a woman, right? When you really go into the dark femme, when you really get like on your hands and knees with God and go deep, deep, deep into the mystery, you meet your muse for the first time. And to me, like your muse is that most authentic part of your essence. Like it is your God spark, right? Like that is the most radiant part of you. And when I got there and I finally like got to face with her, she was pissed the fuck off, right? It wasn't some happy like, "Welcome back." She was pissed the fuck off. She was angry for all the time she was suppressed, for all the times that I told her she wasn't enough, for all the times I compared her to other women thinking, "Oh, you should be more like her." For all the times that her expression was too much, not in whatever it is. She was mad, right?
Yeah.
Because for so long, you didn't honor or have reverence for the deepest part of your God spark, for your divinity, for your sovereignty, right? So it does take a little bit. It's like a relationship. It's like you have to marry these two parts of you back together to really allow that expression to come out, asking her, "What do you need?" "How can I see you? How can I honor you? How can I love you?" Maybe she's like, "Gosh, do you remember when we were 6 years old and we would paint for hours? I want to create. Let me create." Honoring that, get out your fucking paintbrush. Maybe she used to love to dance barefoot on the earth and you told her, "Oh, well, you don't know how to move your body. You can't dance." And all she wants to do is express. Do you know what I mean? So it's like you
Mhm.
start honoring and letting her come online and to be expressed. And the more you do that, you merge your current identity or ego with the muse till it becomes like the sacred emergence where it's like you're just a natural expression of her. But
Mhm.
she's gonna be mad at you at first. She's gonna be really pissed.
Yeah. Well, frustrated, right? Like the way you are with like, a puppy who doesn't want to listen to what's best for them, right? You're like, this has not been helpful. This has been repressive. This has been frustrating because I mean, I'm sure that when you met your muse, she also knew that there was a reason why you held it
Yeah,
back. And it's because we're not
yeah.
encouraged to indulge in these
Oh,
things and express these things.
100%. My whole life, I've never really felt like I've fit in.
Mhm.
Um, Ever. Like my whole entire life, I always was the outcast, I was the misfit, I was the outsider. Not that I didn't have friends, guys, I had friends, but it's like I never really fit. I wasn't really this group, but I wasn't really this, and it's like
Yeah.
I never really
We're
jived.
floaters. I feel it's a thing for people who are, I don't know if you identify whether you're like a star seed or just not of this world. Like you come here and you're like, I'm not this or that. Or the other. I don't, I was always called a floater in high school. It's like, you're kind
Yes.
of a part of everything. I'm like, yeah, because I'm not fucking going to be labeled or I don't belong in just like one lump. And I think that's common amongst those of us who find our way to like these messages.
Hell yes. Hell yes. And,
Yeah.
like, when people come to me and they start saying those things to me, I'm like, "Oh, like, you're my tribe then, like, you're my people." But
Yeah.
because of that at a young age and not having the sovereignty and not having power, right, it did make me go into, like I said, the shadow, or I'll just say shadow for lack of a better word, of the feminine, where then I wanted to be the nice girl. I was the people pleaser, right? I wanted everybody to like me. I was the martyr, almost like I would chameleon with whatever group I was in to be who everybody
Mm.
wanted me to be,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And I kept doing this and I was like, I can't fucking do this anymore, right? Like, why I'm so busy trying to worry about being accepted, being like, fitting in. I was fucking dying inside because it wasn't true to who I was at all. I felt so lost. I got into drugs and partying and all the things in my early 20s because I was so fucking lost. And I just wanted somebody to tell me who I am and somebody, another deep wound of the feminine to fucking choose me. I wanted to be chosen so bad. I wanted to be loved so bad, but it was really hitting on a wound that like I didn't love or choose myself.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't love or choose myself. And that hit fucking really hard. And that really put me into like the biggest awakening of my life where there was no choice but to begin choosing myself. I lost friends, I lost family, I lost relationships. Fuck, I thought I was losing my mind for a short period of time. I had
All
visions,
of
all
it.
kinds of
It all
all
hit
the
together.
things, right? But now 12, 13 years later, I can say like, God, I'm so happy for that. And that moment that was so hard. And I was like, I'm going to pick me over everything.
Yeah.
And I don't believe it's ever done, you guys. I think that the spiritual journey or like the journey back home to yourself, I think it's a lifelong process or lifetimes long, where it's like
Yeah.
there's always going to be deeper levels of my own aliveness, my essence, right? My expression that I can tap in and have access to. But it's just like
Mhm.
consciously in each moment choosing with who I am now and who I desire to be. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I try to remind myself that they say that it's like a spiraling upwards. Like you
Yeah.
might meet the same challenge, but you're not where you were the last time you faced it. Because speaking
Yeah.
to choosing yourself first and loving yourself, I just went through a experience of realizing like, why am I still wanting someone to choose me? Why is my system feeling dysregulated when I feel like somebody isn't choosing me? I want to make them choose. And I'm like, why am I still not able to give this to myself? But then I look at it, I'm
Yeah.
like, well, I might be having a little bit of that, but after I recognize it and move through it, it may take a day or two, I'm able to release it. Whereas like
Yeah.
5, 10 years
Before.
ago, I would have been on the ground and I didn't realize that I didn't need that, right? I used to think,
Yeah.
no, this person has to choose me. They have to want me or else I'm worthless. And now I'll have a little tinge. My inner child comes up and they're like, why? Why didn't they
Yeah.
want me? And why didn't this work out? And why did that happen? And then you realize, you remember, and you're able to. So whoever needs to hear that, especially during eclipse time, because this is the time where those zingers come in and they'll
Yeah.
hit you where it hurts. They'll hit you where you need to feel it so that you get that experience to level up again, right? To say, okay, I'm going
Yeah.
for another round of feeling not worthy as I am feeling like my worthiness was based on this person's approval or this identity. And how do I now level up one more time to even lessen how much I feel like I'm in need of anything outside of
Yeah.
who I am, right?
I love that, and I think something that it's so funny you're talking about this because I just got off a client call, and it was so much of this, "Well, we've already talked about this, and we've already been through this," and I'm like,
Why
"It
am I
doesn't
not
fucking."
getting it?
Exactly, and I'm like,
It's
"It
so
doesn't
frustrating.
fucking matter," and the
Mhm.
way that spirit really showed it to me is like, yes, it is like a spiral, but what you have to think of too is that, like, as you expand and as you evolve consciously, right? Your awareness changes, your consciousness, your embodiment. So as they bring up what you feel like is the same, experience again, you're going to see it from a different perspective. You're going to see
Yes.
it from a different level of awareness. So even though maybe you worked on the sense of worthiness or attachment or whatever it is, now it's showing you a deeper level of that you weren't even conscious
Mhm.
to the first time. So that's why things continue to spiral and spiral until we go to the deepest part of the root to alchemize it and let it go. And if
Yes.
you are listening to this, guys, another thing that was coming, and this is slightly tied in, but I feel like it's important. Just know that like healing isn't fixed or linear. Healing isn't fixed or linear. And if you're on this like mission to like, I'm going to go dig up every shadow and every wound and I'm going to heal, like, you're going to make yourself fucking crazy because if you go looking for a problem to fix, I promise you're going to find one. Like
Yeah.
we're always going to have stuff to work on. Even the most evolved people still have shit to work on or they wouldn't be here on earth. Um, but the beauty is that life will show you exactly where you're at and what you're ready to move through. So you don't need to go become like some shadow warrior looking to dig up everything in like your graveyard. Life will bring it to you when you're ready to really meet it, alchemize it, and transmute it because it's part of your path. And I just feel like that's really important for somebody listening. I don't know why that was coming to my
Of
brain,
course
but
it is.
just know that. It's so important because I wasted so much time doing that. No, I need to work on myself more and I need to heal this. And I also have da, da, da. And it's like, no, Like, no, you're not some endless project, right, that needs fixing. You're a beautiful essence being remembered, reclaimed, and unveiled. And how different life gets to look when you approach it that way versus you're broken, because you're not broken. You
Yeah.
came here whole. You came here worthy. Nothing's changed. You just got a veil of forgetfulness, and the journey is like unveiling that veil essentially and coming back to your heart, coming back to your soul. That's what we're here to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it's all about, and have some fun along the way, which makes me
Oh,
want to
yeah.
go back. I feel, Kaylin, like you were prescribing as the shadow priestess for us to have orgasms daily. Am I getting that right? Is that something that we should be trying to get
Yes,
a daily
Dr.
vitamin of?
Priestess. I
What's that?
do. I'm a really firm believer on pleasure. And
Tell us
guys,
more.
pleasure doesn't like I'm a big on sexual pleasure. Yes, an orgasm a day, like your life would fucking change if you orgasmed once a day. I'll test the listeners. Try to self pleasure or even with a partner for at least a week or 2 weeks and tell me how different your frequency is. Tell me how different your vibration is. Tell me how much more alive you feel. Tell me how much more connected you are to God, to your body, to your intuition. Let me know how that goes.
Does it help if you do it more
Um,
than once a day?
Girl, you get bonus points. Fuck yeah, you do. Go for it. But I will say for some of you who have either sexual trauma, a lot of religious programming, who's like, "Oh my God, the thought of me going and playing with my pussy, like that makes me want to like cringe out of my skin."
Yeah.
Pleasure isn't just about sexual, right? Pleasure can be literally slowing down this morning when I feel like I had 500 things that I should do or needed to do. And I stayed in bed an extra half hour and I laid with my daughter. And I fully received her hugging me and her kissing me and letting myself be in the juicy, delicious pleasure of that moment. That's also connecting with your pleasure. When you sit down to eat dinner, are you on your phone, typing on your computer, thinking about da 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 da, right? Or are you literally eating slowly, presently, tasting the different textures, the juices, the whatever? Do you know what I mean? It could be in the shower. Think about when you take a shower and you got your loofah on your body wash. Are you scrubbing as hard and as fast as you can in the shower? Like, I just got to get out. Or do you take a minute to put oil on and rub it all over your skin and feel your body and adorn yourself? That's connecting with your pleasure. To be in your pleasure is to be connected to the subtle. So when you're connected to the subtle, you're connected to your senses. Anything that you slow down enough to taste, to smell, to see, to hear, to feel, that connects you to your pleasure, to your aliveness, to your feminine, right? It could be me literally sitting here. If you guys can see, see me, I have a fuzzy blanket and just feeling the textures, feeling the softness on my skin, rubbing it on my body, right? Allowing to do things that feel good to you, right? Dancing. Like it doesn't have to be sex. Sex is the best, but it doesn't have to be sex.
Yeah. Well, and then there's so much to say for women's sensuality because I mean, it's like the way you want to dress yourself, the way you want to feel, the way you want to move. I know that I feel like so in my sexuality and sexiness and feminine when I'm just like, I feel in my power. I feel strong. Like I like to exercise. I
Yes.
like to feel strong. I'm a dancer. So I like to feel like flexible and like stand up straight with a straight back and just have my prowess. I love the word prowess. That's when I feel a
Yeah.
lot of pleasure is when I just feel almost like animalistic, like a panther.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
it's
it
just like
is.
there's that power, there's that dark feminine power that's just like it's limitless and it's almost like it's pulsing, right? It's like, and like
Yeah.
to use the analogy of like your pussy, like it's an amazing thing when you're aroused and it's like coming to life and it's beautiful. Your whole body can do that. I mean, talk about pleasure because pleasure again doesn't just exist in the genitals, it's all through your body. And I guess that's what I'm
Exactly.
getting at is like sometimes when you're in your feminine power, it's like you feel it through, you feel the pulsing through your whole body. And it's
And
like,
what
damn.
you're really speaking to is like our Shakti. Our Shakti is
What's
our
our Shakti?
divine.
Tell us.
Yes. Our Shakti is literally our divine feminine energy. So women who are really connected to their feminine, to that sexuality, to their sensuality, I cannot talk today, are oozing with Shakti. And Shakti is something that comes out in all like facets of your life. Again, it's not just in sex, but when I'm connected to that part of me, to that feminist, like primal pull in my womb, in my body, it's like this vivaciousness that comes alive and my clients feel it. They're like, whoa, there's a magnetism to you. There's a power to you today. My partner feels it. My kids feel it, right? It's like welcoming that back because a woman who is connected to her pleasure, to her power, is a dangerous fucking woman, right? And who doesn't want to be a dangerous fucking woman, right? But you do this by reclaiming your body, by reclaiming those senses, by reclaiming your sexuality, like allowing yourself to really get out of your head and in your body. I can't say it enough. The feminine is in the body. The feminine is in the body. I studied for 13 fucking years trying to learn about the feminine. I read books. I did courses. This last year of my life, when I said no mentors, no books, no courses, it's me, my channel, and God. It's me, my channel, and God. I awoken more codes and more fucking knowledge about the feminine, about the goddess than ever in my life. And I was like, oh, well, yeah, I was doing it wrong. I was trying to approach a feminine paradigm from a masculine blueprint. I'll say toxic masculine blueprint, and it was never going to work. But
Yes.
when I started self-pleasuring every day, when I started dancing every day, when I started adorning myself, when I started devoting myself to slow, to the subtle, to my sensuality, did shit start to open up for me, right? As a woman, that's your power, baby. Like men don't have that magnetism. Men don't
And the
have that.
intuition, the psychicness, like that is part of the feminine. We're all
Yeah,
psychic. That's just really like that's all senses that we all have. But the women are tuned in. We are the high priestesses, and we are meant
yes,
to be, again, like we birth life, but we also are the channel that ideas come through. That it's basically like something coming through our crown to like inseminate us with ideas of creation. And we can channel in ways that the masculine cannot. And it's important that we do so, but we've been shut down from that. Just as you said, and this is another thing that's going to completely rock our education system, is when we realize wasting our time on books and like the structured knowledge is just dead. It's like a flatlining. There's
yeah,
infinite knowledge that's meant to come through to fucking humans,
yeah,
and we don't take any of it. But the stuff that you channeled, and now you're like, oh, I have a greater understanding of what I was seeking out in the world. It's not here yet. And we need more
yeah.
women to do the practices you're describing, because that opens us up to being able to channel and bring through the new wisdom that's needed to evolve our species so we can have a better, higher experience where we're having more pleasure and joy and creative energy so that we can have fun in life.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because I will say like, what I'm going to speak to what you're saying, but I feel slightly nuanced about it because I don't believe, well, let me start back. When I first got into spirituality, it was all about leaving my body. I wanted to go hang out with my starseed family. I wanted to channel deities. I wanted to do all these things, right? Which is amazing. And I learned a lot. And I'm so thankful for that time. And I still will go do that. But the feminine revival, like I said, is in the body, right? So as a feminine essence being, you already have the codes, the templates deep in your soul codex,
In your
deep in your
DNA,
DNA.
in your body.
Yeah,
So you don't feel like
yeah.
you're channeling from other information. You feel like you're just
So
tapping into what is.
how do I want to explain this? You have, as a feminine essence being, your womb, heart, and third eye are your greatest power centers. Okay. And the womb is something that the men don't have access to, right? This is the portal between you and the divine, right?
Mhm.
This is those psychic, those intuit. So as a woman, it's about dropping in to the womb. It's not about trying to do it from the third eye, from the crown, from getting things from the ether. It's about the oracular osmosis, the deep remembrance that you already hear, that you already have, that you came here to be, to embody, to express. Everybody here who's sitting here, you can absolutely learn new things. I'm not saying that, but every single one of you came into this lifetime with a unique divine blueprint. You have soul codes that exist in the body, but the only reason that you're asleep and you don't remember or you don't have access to it is because like you haven't awakened it yet. It's still dormant. So
Well, how do
this
you
is why,
activate them?
by going into the body, by going into the body. So when you're meditating, it's about trying to connect. You have a pull in your heart, you have a pull in your womb. Your womb is a negative pull, your heart is a positive pull. So as you connect with your womb, you want to think about like what's here, like what am I receiving, right? What's in my womb to receive? Your womb, baby, has so much for you. It carries over 13 generations of bloodlines from your mother, from your father, and all that wisdom. Okay. Your heart is a positive pole, and that's your way to fully be that and express that out into the world. Right. So, same as you do when you're meditating and you think about, okay, well, I'm trying to ascend and trying to connect upwards. Instead, you draw your awareness and your consciousness downwards. you focus it on being in the womb and being in the root, awakening the codes that way. That's at least what I did the last year.
Gorgeous. Beautiful. That's fantastic. I mean, the more that this is encouraged and spoken about, then the more women, because it's just a remembrance and it's just using what already is. Right. And
And
I
you
think
have
that,
it. Like, oh, sorry. I would say you have like the magic, the medicine, like what you think you're seeking externally, I promise you it's lying dormant in your body.
right.
But another big thing to awakening it is one, it's like releasing all of the past programmings, traumas, wounds, identities, behaviors that you have that are like counteracting that, right? Because your highest expression, your light can't come on if you're having things that aren't supporting that new version of self, who aren't supporting that expression, that essence, right? So like the environment, right? Your choices, like they all matter.
Absolutely. And that totally aligned with this eclipse right now. That's what I keep
Yeah,
hearing about it. And what I'm getting is you said it's your, do you say it's like our channel to our destiny? And I think,
absolutely.
and it is, it's like it's trying to put in our face, just like I was saying, put in our face, like this is not working. This is what's an aspect that's keeping you from what your higher potential is, what your essential abilities are that you're blocking yourself from. And that's kind of like what I was experiencing was another go around with something that's saying like, do you really want to keep yourself small like this by like
Yep.
begging people for something that you have innately? Why are you doing that? Why do you want to keep engaging with that, or do you want to move into a new way of being? And I think that that's for those listening, like if you're having a challenging time during this eclipse season, it sucks, it's been hard, but it's good. It's a good thing you're being challenged because it means you're
Yeah.
being, you know, initiated.
Yeah, 100%. Right now, I'll say 2023 was definitely a year of initiation. And truthfully, like the new year didn't really start until the spring equinox. So we're right in the beginning of this new year, you guys.
Right.
And this year, what Spirit was showing me is like really like the quantum leap year. Like this is really the year that you begin to harvest all those seeds that you've been planting, right? All
Yeah.
those things that you've been doing for the year I was getting earlier was 2017. So if someone's listening, I feel like that's significant. So something that you were working on around 2017, um, which I think is about 6 or 7 years ago, really beginning to come to the light, really beginning to bear the fruits of that labor, really beginning to see those seeds. And the best way to do this at this time is literally just to create space, you guys. And I just don't mean space in your life, but also like space in the body, right? You need to go into stillness. You need to get into deep receptivity, into openness with God, and set the intention that you're willing to receive the next level of activation, upgrades, downloads that this has for you, and ask to be shown or stripped away from everything that isn't your soul destiny. Like to me, my mantra I say every day, soul destiny or nothing. Like, God, refine me, refine me, refine me. It's my soul destiny or it's nothing. And right now, with the energies, they're so supportive of you stepping into this. Especially, we got Chiron, the wounded healer. We got fast
Mhm.
track of healing right now. We've got new beginnings supercharged with the solar eclipse, the new moon. This is literally a portal way into a complete new beginning. No, fuck that. Not a new beginning, like a rebirth. It's not a new beginning. It's a completely new experience of yourself, of reality, of who you knew yourself to be. Who you will be on the other side of this eclipse is a completely different person. But it takes you saying yes. It takes you walking through the door. And I'm just so here for it. Also, I'm gonna go
Woo!
whoop.
You're getting me pumped. You're
I
like
know
my
you're like,
pump up
bring it,
music
girl.
for, yeah,
I also want to just put one splash on this because
flash it.
I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this, and when I was channeling yesterday, this came through really strong. There is a really heavy intergalactic undertone to this eclipse. This eclipse
Mm.
is really supporting us to reclaim, like I said, it's really big on reclamation, but it's a reclamation of our spiritual roots, a reclamation of our gifts, of our mission, of what we were doing. And it's accumulation of those gifts, not from just lifetimes here on earth. A lot of you are going to be awakening to new gifts, new abilities, maybe even having connection from your starseed origins. Like there's a very, very heavy intergalactic undertone. So if you guys have been experiencing like a lot of fatigue, nausea, moodiness, not sleeping, a
Can't
lot of
sleep,
like
can't eat.
turbulence. Yes, like know that this is normal as your body is integrating and installing this new light. And the best thing, like I said, to do, create space. create space to be in stillness, movement. This eclipse isn't something you're going to think about in your mind and what should I do and what are my next steps? Get in your fucking pleasure practice, get in your body, connect to that vessel, connect to that portal way, right? To be in the body is to be in the feminine. I'll say that 100 fucking times until everybody who leaves here gets it. To be in the body is to be in the feminine. Connect to the pleasure, connect to the feminine. Like that's how you reclaim those wombs or those codes in your womb. Like this is so important. As you reclaim your pleasure, you reclaim the dark femme.
Do you think if we're having an orgasm as the solar eclipse peaks, we'll just like transcend into
I'm pretty sure my spiritual team would just come and just take me off. They'd be like, "Really, Kaylin? Like this is too much. We gotta go." No, I think that'd be beautiful. Like honestly,
just
during
outside
the
amongst people, just gonna be
like,
get up
sorry, I'm
there?
going home. No, I really this eclipse is significant. We're not gonna see the astrological placements and transits as these ones for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Like, let that sink in. Like, we're embarking on a complete shift in humanity. And the best thing you could do during the eclipse is to create space to receive because there is something epic happening on this planet for those of us who are fucking like ready for it. And if you're listening to this podcast and you're here with us still, like you're fucking ready for it. So I will be doing ritual. I will be connecting to my pleasure. I will be dancing. I will be moving. I will be doing everything I can to anchor these codes into my body. And my best advice for you guys who want to fucking level up is get in the body. Get in your body, girl or guy.
I love it. I love it so much. Okay, Kaylin, before we close, can we just do a quick for those who don't know? Because I keep hearing this phrase sex magic. I just got a book on sex magic for a future guest. If you had to like what is sex magic? I imagine it has to do with like working with the energies that are sexual, but what is it like you're creating shit? Are you a magician with like sex energy? What is that?
Yes, baby. You tap into your magician, your high priestess, your creatrix by using orgasms. So you can do
Okay.
this with a partner,
I
or you
like
can do this
orgasms.
through I love them.
I'm on
Or
board.
self-pleasure. So what this will look like is kind of like I was talking about before. What sex magic really is this idea that instead of having these like hard, fast, like quick orgasms, we call them peak orgasms in Tantra, where you have a quick explosion at the genitals. It's like 3 to 5 seconds and then it's over, right? It's kind of lame.
I mean,
What
it's
you
still
have
pretty good.
Oh, but not until you experience this, baby. Valley orgasm. So what we play
Okay.
with is this idea called valley orgasms in Tantra. And it's this
Okay.
idea that the energy, right, as it starts to build up, as you start to feel yourself like opening and orgasming, instead of directing the energy down out through the root, you focus through awareness, breath, and movement to pull this energy up through your chakras up until it's coming out of your crown, and this energy from your crown shoots into the cosmos. And as you're doing that, you spellcast, you set your intentions, the frequencies you want to experience. Maybe it's a partnership, maybe it's more abundance, like whatever it is your soul is calling for, you speak it. I'm big on speaking it out loud, but if you're like, Kaylin, that's a little bit too fucking much, girl, you can do it internally. It'll still work. I'm just very woo. And literally you're spell casting while you're in this deep orgasm, because we said at the beginning, your orgasm is creative energy. It is the most powerful energy to be in, to create. So no fucking shit if you're doing your manifestations or your mantras or whatever and it's supercharged with that frequency, what do you think that's sending out into the universe? It's like supercharging or fast pacing everything you desire through using sex magic.
Ooh, okay. I'm in.
And like you can do this with a partner too. And they
Right.
can be aware of it or unaware of it. My guy is like way more open to it now than he ever has been. But like if your people aren't open to it, like it's okay. They don't have to even know you're doing it.
Is it
For
hard
me,
to
even
do?
no, it takes practice, because if you're used to having peak orgasms and just like pew and done, it's hard to slow it down, like
Yeah.
slow it
Oh
down.
gosh. Yeah.
But breath will be your best friend. You do this through breath. As you start to feel it come on, take a big inhale, almost like you're pulling that energy up, right? Movement can help. If you start feeling it, kind of moving your body in a certain way, moving the energy through your body. And what happens is these orgasms can last 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an
For
hour,
real.
2 hours. You can be orgasming the whole entire time.
What's the longest orgasm you've had?
Longest orgasm I ever had was probably like I don't think it was 2 hours, but it was almost 2 hours.
What does that even mean? And what does that mean?
What does that even mean?
Because it's not this, because a peak orgasm, you're like, ah, and it's like, oh, yay. But that, is it just that continuous feeling, or does it come in waves? Like, is it like you're just like, you just keep, is it like a wave of orgasmic pleasure? What is that?
So, it's kind of like a both and. So, I will say
Okay.
it's probably actually, let me backtrack. It's both and in the fact that it is that, like, build up of pleasure that you feel, that I start to get aroused and it's about to come. It's kind of like that, and you have that where you're almost, like, on the edge of your seat in that just deepest pleasure the whole entire time, but as you become more practice and expand your capacity because so much of the pleasure practice and sex magic is expanding your capacity to hold and sustain pleasure. So as you practice this, then you get to the point where you have like those peak orgasms where you feel like they're like, "Ah," and you can be in that state for hours and hours and hours. But this takes you cultivating your pleasure practice, expanding your capacity in the body to hold the pleasure. This is my jam.
Okay, now I know what I'm gonna be doing this eclipse weekend. I'm gonna be
Yeah. You're like, girl, I've been pleasuring all weekend.
thank you. Thank you for giving me this fabulous assignment. Not that that's not what I don't do either already on weekends, but now I'm gonna practice. Yeah. Do you have like well, we're going to get to this because we're moving towards the end, but like, do you have a webinar about this? Do you have a book about this? Do you give what if I'm like, okay, wait, what did Kaylin say? Here I am in my bed trying to
I
come
love
for
it.
5 hours and it only lasted for 2 minutes. So how can, how can I get guidance?
I will say most of like the deep feminine work like that, I share like in my private containers and like my one-on-one clients. The closest thing that I have is like a freebie if somebody wanted to just kind of like dip their toes in the water. I do have a transmission called Woman, and I talk kind of about reclaiming womb sovereignty. So this can be really great for a woman who wants to connect with that soul codex, with the wisdom of their womb to awaken the deep dark femme.
Mhm.
And it's one part teaching where I talk about womb, I talk about orgasms, I talk about our sexual energy. And then the second part of it is actually an energetic womb transmission that I do where we go and we help you clear your womb, all the past energies, all the past relationships, traumas, everything like that. So you can reclaim womb sovereignty. Yeah, I'm also a quantum healer, so I'm big on energy healing. So it's kind of one part poke your brain a little bit, and then one part I get you in your body and we do the energetic work. So that would be a freebie. I can send that to you too if you want to link it in the show notes that everyone
Yeah.
can have access to. And yeah, and if you really are like called to this work, you guys, like the dark femme is my playground. Like I play in the realms of deep transformation and rebirth with my women. I do one-on-one work, I do group work. I always have master classes and stuff going on. You find me on all the socials. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Find me at Kaylin Rakowski, Shadow Priestess, and I'm always sharing goodies like this. So yeah, come find me.
You're just one big goodie. Just
I'm not just a
coming
big goodie.
coming out with all the good stuff. Just always
I'm just
coming.
one
How
big
we should all
walking
be.
O girl.
Just one big O, as we all are. Just one
Yes.
big giant orgasmic gift to the world is what women are. Huh?
Somebody literally had to orgasm for you to be here. You're a walking orgasm.
Ooh, perfect. I hope they better have.
They had to. You want to be here.
Oh, okay,
Well, I
the
guess
dude,
the
yeah,
man
well,
did.
the guy did, but we don't know about the woman. The woman is like,
Yeah,
let's
true.
change that.
Yes.
Let's all change that. More orgasms for women, more 2 hour
Yeah.
orgasms for everybody. God damn, can you imagine how humanity would change if we were coming more, like just all the
Oh
time?
my, like my mission, like for women that come into
It's my
my
mission.
world, I want you to be like well nourished, well watered, well fucked women. And when you are so deeply connected to God and to your divinity. And I just really want this to land. So I'm going to say it, even if I've said it 100 times, like to be in your body is to be in the feminine. As you reclaim your pleasure, as you expand your pleasure capacity, you wake up the dormant codes in the DNA to the deepest feminine wisdom that you have access to. So stop taking your spiritual journey so seriously. Get down, get dirty, get in your pleasure, and awaken that beautiful essence, babe. That's what you're here to do. Come join us.
Woo! Kaylin,
Join
this has been so fun. I could keep talking to you, but I got to get back and I have some stuff I have to do back in my bedroom. There's things I have to explore and yeah, whatever.
us.
All right, my dear. Love, this has been so fun.
I love
Me on
you.
your show, you're on mine. It's been a blast. You're
We're
amazing.
friends forever now. It's just
Friends for
done.
life. All right, my
Pleasure,
dear.
pleasure,
Have a great,
priestesses.
happy eclipse. Good luck.
Yeah. Wishing all you guys a beautiful
Yes.
eclipse. Love you.